Well then, this was unexpected. A little while ago I made a simple poll to see Planside community's reaction on which game they prefer, be that old one or the new. As a joke I threw in the third option, waiting for Planside 3. I knew some people talked about this hypothetical third game, so I expected some votes on it. But what I didn't expect was that majority would vote on this option. Sure, there were only over 300 voters, yet Planside 2 is being played by over 3,000 players. Still, this is a decent amount to conclude several things. But before I go into all that, I must say that really any game suffers from this "meh, make another game, this one sucks" attitude. Be that Call of Duty or even Half-Life, there are always some group that played X amount of hours and got fed up, so now they are making a list of things that must be done for the next game. And yeah, this is typical for any game. Usually these are fans of the game who just want exactly the same thing, but with extra stuff in it. In Planside 2 case, people who just want another installment ask for following things: better graphics, better physics and therefore game engine, or more weapons, vehicles, tools for specific things. Sure, I left out other reasons, but as I see, these are the most popular topics. So in case of Call of Duty, Battlefield, I have seen people just crave for more weapons, and that's it. But then I ask you, if you want more weapons for the next game, should everything stay the same? And here many say yes. While frustration of limited toolset is understandable, calling for a new game just because of it is quite idiotic. By asking for a new game just with more guns, you're saying that everything else is acceptable in there. All the little bugs, glitches, textures, animations, models, everything's just fine. Seriously, if you don't see how stupid this is, then what the fuck are you doing outside the kindergarten? But okay, how about graphics? Well, you can add more weapons. Changing the whole graphics engine or adding to it tends to be quite a lot of work. In this case, I've heard some Planside fans say that game would run so much better with DirectX 12. Well, there are some good facts to support this. Oftentimes, when game lacks FPS, there are something else that slows the game too. Back in the day when Planside 2 came out, it was plagued with terrible performance in huge battles. This partly was due to terrible code and partly because of terrible models. Realistically, better graphics API would not solve anything here. So once more, it's idiotic to call for a new game just to have new fancy graphics engine. In such case, really, gameplay won't change anyways. And surely that is more important than graphics. Fuck, even nowadays I replay Half-Life from time to time. This game had really good gameplay and easy controls that responded very well. And lastly, there are people who suggest that game is remade on some other game engine. In Planside 2 case, fans suggested that it could be remade on Frostbite engine or CryEngine. Well sure, they're both made with more competence than Forgelight, for sure. Still, in comparison to all that, Forgelight at least could handle 1,000 players on one map. After all, there are limitations of how much graphics and shiny things can you have when the server is filled. And even so, making a game on another engine would not solve issues that are not related to it, be that story, model design, and so on. Now, about that poll at the start of the video, let's presume that people who voted for Planside 3 chose that option knowing all this and realized that the next game installment will be completely different from what we have now. They voted so because they were extremely upset of the current state or direction the game is taken. This indicates, at least to me, that there are many big problems in the game that devs failed to address. Sure, at this point it's almost 4 years since release and people might just be burnt out of the same old thing, but in that case you would expect them to just stop playing. And yet they are still playing and chose this option. They see the potential in the game, yet they are let down by performance, execution or other aspects of the game. And so they hope maybe next game will solve the issues we are facing now. And really, any presumptions aside, to devs of any game, really, this should be a good indicator that community is not happy of what they are doing, but whether or not they acknowledge this is up to them. And by acknowledging, I mean doing something about it, not just saying, yes, we know that there are issues.